Well, good morning, everyone. I'm Jan Erickson from Stepping Aside, and welcome to Somewhat Daily Tarot and Rune for the 6th day of February 2019. I almost said 2018. Well, I'm not sure what happened to the first go around with this, but I have to do this again. So I don't know. Something popped up on the computer, and in my attempts to close it out, uh, I closed out the video, and I don't even know how I did that. So anyhow. We'll just go ahead and get started, though. Today's a 6th day, and what I had said before is that those are higher self energies and shared abundance, and it's just the greater awareness of others in your life, you know, that you're not the only person, and you're willing to extend love and harmony to others. So pay attention to higher self information today. If something's like, you know, the inner voice is present, pay attention to it. It's likely giving you good counsel. Well, it's a Wednesday, so that's Mercury is the influence. So communication. So if you wanted to do any kind of magic or rituals today, you could center that on balancing communication perhaps with others, you know, increasing positive communication maybe. That might be something you could do, but let's count 13 and see what we have for today. I'm going to get on with it again here. Oh my goodness. Of course, I counted 15 the first time. Oh, the Two of Swords. So I had to back up too. But here we have a woman, she's has to make a decision. She's got her back to the water, so back to emotions. Her eyes are blindfolded. She's got her arms crossed in front of her. The sword's extending out. She needed everything to just calm down so she could think. That's why she's got the blindfold on. She can't, she's got to take a dispassionate view, got to leave emotion out of it. You know, twos are about, you know, duality. They're about juggling. They're about making decisions. They're about emotional balance or the lack thereof. You know, and you always see the blending of, and that's what I like about the Western Tattva Tarot. It's on the other side of the Enochian Scrying Tarot. It's a really cool deck. A lot of information in it. If you know Kabbalah, if you know Geomancy, if you know all of that, then you, if you're familiar with the elements, you can kind of look at the Enochian side and have it be, you can just interpret it by just what you see on the card. You don't really even have to check, and you can get pretty close to what, you know, their thinking was, the creators of the deck, what their thinking was on the interpretations. But the Tattva side, it's either going to show one elemental symbol, or it's going to show, you know, maybe two together, or it's going to show a tri-elemental card. So you've got three elements together, and that's the thing about tarot itself. Whether it's, you know, an obvious deck like that, where you're looking at the blending of different energies, but with the regular with the regular tarot decks, the traditional ones, you see that, you know, you see moon energy, you see water, you know, and it's interacting with swords or air or intellect. And sometimes, you know, when things are just too much, we have to shut all that down, don't we? And so what she selected to do is just to put the blindfold on, cross her arms in front of her, go into a meditative state, and figure out what she needs to do. But the idea is that you got to calm the emotions in order to figure that out. You know, you can't think clearly when your emotions are all over the place. And so she's waiting for them to calm, and you can see a little bit of choppiness to the water, but it's not that bad at this point. So I've always interpreted the Two of Swords as taking the dispassionate view for things. So that's my basic, you know, interpretation for that. Let's draw another card. The Chariot. Again, we're talking the seventh card of the major arcana. So we're talking a soul archetype card. Here you see the Sphinx or the lions in front, whatever you want to call them. A black and a white one. This is about polarity. This is about when to take control and when to allow. It's about even progression, movement, progress, balance. You can almost see see it as a depiction of the scales, given that it's a 7. So you can see, he's the pivot point. But yet he knows when to lead and when to allow, basically. And everyone, of course, is at rest right now. But that's what the Chariot is really talking about. So obviously her decision may have issues over, may surround issues of control, maybe. Let's do another card. Perhaps she's, perhaps she's trying to figure out, should I control the situation, or do I just let it go, or do I just drop back and not and drop all resistance? If you've never listened to Eckhart Tolle, you should. There's a video my husband watched. He loves Eckhart Tolle. He's the guy who talks about being in the now, living in the now, excuse me, and staying in the present moment. He comes out on stage. He has an event, right? And it's being filmed. And so he comes out, he sits down, and there's a bunch of people there, you can tell, they don't pan out to the audience or anything, but he's just sitting there with his little Eckhart Tolle smile and saying nothing, just sitting there and just looking around, And all of a sudden, he just kind of starts to giggle. And so does the audience, because, they didn't have to say a word. They just were, in the isness of the moment with one another, So he's really cool. I recommend that. I don't know where I was going with that, but it's the whole notion that living in the present moment and shutting out everything else than just that moment in order to figure out your happiness. It's when you bring in the past and the future to your mind that's when we start being plagued with worry and concern and regrets and upset and all of that. If we stay present in the moment, then that doesn't happen so much, does it? Unless we're in a really bad moment, and then it makes sense. Well, I don't know where I was going with that other thing, but the thing about Eckhart Tolle came into my head, and I thought, oh, I have to say that. So anyhow, he's an interesting guy. Maybe I'll remember it. Well, I got the Queen of Pentacles, so maybe I shouldn't have drawn another card, but we'll stop with her. I love the queens in any deck, but it's a court card, so, I want to draw another one to have her interact. But, she's really the essence of allowing. I mean, she can get down to business, and she's very practical and all of that, but she's a little more willing to allow things to happen around her and just observe the outcome. She's just a little more, she's the mom, okay? And moms don't know that you start out your momhood with reacting to everything, right? The baby cries, you go running and all of that. And it's not that you shouldn't. I'm just saying that moms tend to react to everything with the first child. And then, the second one comes around and you're a little more seasoned, you're a little more settled. You're not like, oh God, what's going on? Because you already know. So you don't take as much of it as seriously, and you know when to take it seriously, I guess I should say. And I see the Queen of Pentacles as more of an earth mother. Type. She's holding her large coin or pentacle on her lap, and she's, kind of looking down at it. She's probably thinking about, the legacy. You see the flowered garland above her head. It's either apples or flowers. No, those are flowers. Those are roses. Yeah, that's a vine there. That other looks like an apple, but it's not. Anyhow, uh, but she's a very settled person, and just very kind, generous, benevolent, warm, loving. And even though she's going to have that quiet dignity about her, uh, she's still going to be the authority. She's just going to do it in a way that's I don't know, more reflective of her surroundings, maybe, where she's going to do it in a way that maybe someone doesn't realize what she's just done. In other words, she's going to establish the framework for things, and she's just going to expect people to follow them. So, kind of like our new Speaker of the House. So. But I really think that she's also mastered the whole idea of the chariot, of the idea between allowing and taking control. Sometimes and I know it's tempting to think, oh, you're just giving someone enough rope that they'll hang themselves. Well, no. I think that you give people the chance, and I know you do this with being a mother, because I had 2 boys. You give them the chance to sort it out for themselves, right? And to figure it out for themselves without your intervention. And you intervene, of course, if you have to, but basically you want to get them to the place where they're able to take what they've learned, all the stuff you've taught them, and then they can reason it all out for themselves, so that you're not having to step in and handle it for them. Because you want to, as a parent, hopefully your kids are such that you can do that, give them progressively more freedom and more ability to make their own decisions, because at some point you have to stand back and say, all right, I'm done. I've done all I can do, and it's up to them now, and your kids are either going to believe that, or they're going to still think you're going to meddle. And if you're not someone who meddles, and I'm not, then basically, they can either believe that or not about you. So it's a funny little thing that happens with in terms of parenting, isn't it? Sometimes your kids see you in a way that is based on perceptions from when they were children. And they forget to then see you with adult eyes when they're adults. And so sometimes kids have a hard time with that as well, not just mom and dad, of letting go and all of that. But when I see the Queen of Pentacles and the Chariot together, it's telling me that balance is the issue here. And then, of course, you've got the Two of Swords, which is definitely about balance. So balance, decisions, knowing when to allow and when to insert yourself into the process. I think that ideally we probably insert ourselves way more than we should. But let's look at the rune and see what it has to say. But I see a definite relationship here, particularly with our queen. My favorite, of course, is the Queen of Swords from the Thoth Tarot. There she is reclining in her chair, a sword in one hand and a severed head in the other. So that's my favorite. But the queens in any deck are just very special cards, because whether anybody realizes this or not, the world revolves around the mother. I know in this patriarchal world, men would disagree, but I guarantee you, Birkenau, that the world revolves around the mother and the mother energy of balance and comfort and love and nurturing. The allowing of the mother. That was why I brought in the whole Eckhart Tolle thing, is this whole allowing sense of allowing that we need to maintain, and be more hesitant to insert ourselves into the situation. There's nothing a mom wants more than her kids to work it out so she doesn't have to stop what she's doing to go in and referee something, It's like, oh, do I have to, So I think that, especially with the Chariot, and that basic theme of the Chariot, of allowing and controlling versus controlling. But here we have Birkenau. And Birkenau is the 18th rune of the Elder Futhark, I believe. Let's see, make sure. Yes. So there's a sense of completion, but it also can be about birth and fertility and, initiating new projects and all of that. So maybe something that the decision that has to be made surrounds something like that, something, external in a sense, instead of something that we're working on that's internal. But let me check this to be sure. There could be some obscure meaning that I've written down here that might unlock all of it for us. I don't remember everything because, I mean, I write down a lot of stuff. So there's too many to remember. Yeah, it's an earth element rune, so it's going to align with pentacles because that's earth element. Yeah, bringing ideas to fruition, femininity and motherhood. We've already talked about that. Responsibility, bringing into being. You can chant Birkenau to feel secure. If I'm upset and Isa doesn't work, I'll do Birkenau. But it's about healing and approaching things in a calm manner. Uh, that's why you can chant it to feel calm. But you can see Laguz contained within it. It does this. You see from the top to the bottom there. Isa is contained within it. Kenaz is contained within it, so there's some enlightenment contained within it. Flow with Laguz. You see Vunyo, if you ignore the bottom part of the B shape, you see Vunyo. If you were to continue the Kenaz aspect of it out into a full X, then you would see Gebo. So where it's not balanced energy exchange because the woman is giving birth to the child, so there's balanced energy exchange within, but not in terms of the birth outward. But you could do a bind rune with this in Gebo where you could do that. You could extend this middle part here, that part that does this, and continue it out as an X, and there would be an interesting bind rune with Gebo. And you could turn that into fertile, balanced energy exchange or something, So that could be something you could do if you were going to do a bind rune with just 2 runes. You could do it. You could consider 3 or 4 with it, though, 2 or 5 if you included Kenaz, because contained within Birkenau, you've got Birkenau, Kenaz, Laguz, Vunyo. So 2, 3. So there's 4 right there. Isa, if you count Isa, I see Isa in it. So you could add Gebo to it, and that would be 6, technically, within that one bind rune. This would be an interesting blending of energies, wouldn't it? I mean, Isa is a bind rune. I don't know, because you can't. There's not a rune alive in there that doesn't have a straight line somewhere. So, in a sense, it isn't just Othala that contains all of the energies of all the runes. It's all of them. They all do in one fashion or another. So, anyhow, well, this is cool. So maybe a decision today of some kind. The emotions have gotten in the way. We need to turn our back to that. We need to think about, do we want to insert ourselves or do we want to practice a little bit of allowing? Birkenau is suggesting allowing, so's the Queen. Although, we have to get into it if we really have to, but maybe choose your battles. I don't know. And opt to stay out of it if you can. But if not, then be the Queen and get into it. Do it with grace and dignity and respect for others but the quiet dignity of the Queen of Pentacles, our Earth Mother, because that's what Birkenau is, our Earth Mother. Well, groovy. So anyhow, I guess that's all I've got, really. I don't think I need to go any further with this. I think I've pretty much explained everything, or at least how I see it. But I love when the chariot comes up, and if it's pairing with a decision, then obviously it's time to allow. I just, that, I mean, it's like the whole Eckhart Tolle thing. I just love that little guy. He he has you really, I mean, I realize he has a background in Course in Miracles, and so there was a resonance there, when I started listening to him, not that I'm a devotee necessarily of the Course in Miracles, it just that it it's so witchy. I mean, to think that that you give everything the meaning that it has, how is that not witchy? Or that you can that all things are miracles. Miracles are ordinary experiences. Well, of course they are. And so it's like I'm reading through it, and I realize that it's not written for me. It's targeting Christians, I guess, to sort of re-explain what some of this stuff is. Atonement is at one meant. You're at one with everyone. You're not trying to, I don't know. There's a sense of you got to do this or you're in trouble to Christianity. And I don't believe that way. So when I read the Course in Miracles, I was like, wow, they don't either. So anyhow, and I know that Eckhart Tolle has read the Course in Miracles, but he didn't. I think that he just went ahead and sort of internalized the truth of it into his life, and then this is what he's doing now. Speaking and writing books and whatnot. And but the main idea of it is to just allow. And the Two of Swords speaks to that, I think, as does the Chariot. As does the Queen. I was more of the Queen of Swords kind. I was never the Earth Mother type, as much as I tried to be. I mean, because I'm the herbalist and I'm the organic gardener, and I'm believe in all that kind of stuff, and I'm about nature and all of that. So I thought, oh, clearly, no, I'm more of the let's talk it out, mom. So I've always wanted my kids to understand the broader message behind everything so they could make the best choice for themselves. And those were the kinds of dialogues that I had with my kids. So it's like, no, I want you to understand and just do from the place of understanding. So, if you're doing something that is counterproductive, then we need to come to a different understanding about things. We have to have a premise so we can all be on the same page. Yeah, that was what I did. So anyhow. Way too intellectual. So anyhow, so I guess let's see. Lots of snow still out there. Well, not lots. Well, lots because it's covering the ground. So technically lots. We're still talking this much snow. But it was 21 the last time I looked, so it isn't going anywhere anytime soon. The next few days we're going to have more of it. So I don't know that we're going to get it though. But today I don't think we'll walk. I think it's just a little bit too cold and maybe a little too slick. So we're going to, although they did close one section of a road that we walk on. We noticed that yesterday when we came back from the store. So they're putting a development in along that road. And so we have to listen to that, because even though it's a distance away from us, it's not that far, and we can hear everything, all the pounding, because Central Oregon is built on rock. It's just one big volcanic rock, and so they have to break through everything to do anything they need to do. So you're lucky if you have ground that you don't have to do that with, and we actually have a nice piece of property. So but it doesn't mean that we don't have rock we have to move from time to time, but we don't have to do anything like that. Like they're having to do with the air hammers and all of that. So that's all I hear now is just pound, pound, pound of air hammer if I'm outside. And I can even hear it sometimes in the house. So that's not good. Well, that's going to be around for a while, and then they're going to start building. And I don't know if they're putting in a school, but I've seen the overall picture of the plan, but I can't get close enough on that property to really see what it's going to be. But our area is just expanding now, and there's just nothing we can do to stop it. So anyhow, it's going to lose its charm, unfortunately. That's what happens, but it'll create a new one. So I think that our area will be, I mean, we're not Bend, so that's a plus. So at least we're not Bend. Bend's a nice place, I should say that. It's just that it's very, very crowded, And instead of being, and this I suppose is true for any town, as things expand, you just put things where you can. And sometimes you can plan well for it, and other times you can't. And Bend has this very cramped feeling to it. I don't care for it. I like some aspects of it. I like the architecture, for example. I think they've done really well with that. I like their use of roundabouts, actually. My husband hates them, but I happen to love them. I think they're fun. I don't like the double lane ones, though. Those scare scare the you know what out of me. But I did go in one successfully, though, so I probably shouldn't be afraid of it. But I just think they're nutty. I mean, how do you know? How do you know? I don't know. But that's how he feels about just the normal ones. But it's a nice city. But it's just that it's too cramped for me. I need to have more room. We live on 5 acres, so nothing is cramped here except my house. So that's why I like to be outside all the time. But yeah, this is a really nice area, and I really like it. But we've been here since '81, so we must like it. So, but we have some snow today, and it won't be here for too much longer, though. So, and maybe we can start getting outside and doing some more things. We've done a little bit of weed eating. We need to do some pruning this year, and I still need to. I don't know about you guys, but I don't take out my garden at the end of the year. I leave everything and just let it rot where it is. I do that so that the critters around here maybe have some places to hide, maybe the source of maybe some food, some seed or something that drops. I also like the fact that sometimes I'll find tomatoes coming up, on their own. So I like to just let things lay where they are and then do it in the spring. So I have to still do that. I have to clean out all the garden beds yet. We didn't even do the corn. We just left it all because it just gives cover for the little critters, in the wintertime. So and maybe a source of food. So I just don't want to take anything from anybody out there. So because if it's lucky and we don't have a whole lot of snow, then they're going to have access to that kind of stuff. So anyhow, so I still have to do that, but not yet. So anyhow, I guess that's it then for today. We'll see you tomorrow. Thanks so much for stopping by. If it's your first time, thanks for showing up. Thanks for listening, and click subscribe. I'd love you to do that. If you've been back, if you're coming back, if you've been back a bunch of times or you're a subscriber, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I love doing this. This is a lot of fun. I'm still kind of in the works for expanding it into not just this, but maybe some other stuff with respect to maybe cannabis and maybe some herb stuff. That's still gelling. I'm working on 2 different books though, so I'm getting one ready to publish. So I've sort of been focusing more on that than planning out the YouTube channel, but that's still in the works. I'm trying to think about how I want to structure all of it. I may do some stuff with herbs when the herb garden gets growing again. I may go out there and do some stuff to show, to talk about planting and harvesting and what things look like when they're growing. I think I may do something like that. So we may go on the road anyway and do a location shoot or whatever they call that. I'll go out into the herb garden out there. But so I'm going to do some different things with the whole YouTube channel, and not just this. I'm not going to stop doing this. I'm just going to add some stuff, I think. So anyhow, so I guess that's it then. We'll see you tomorrow. Be good to yourself. Be good to one another. And blessed be.